Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today, we are going to be doing a little book review. I don't think I've ever done a book review on the channel, so this is my first. This is a book that my mother gave me about 2 weeks ago, and it's very good. This is The Daughter of Auschwitz by Tova Friedman and Malcolm Brabant. It says, my story of resilience, survival, and hope. I really love true stories and memoirs, and this is definitely that. The story was written by this little girl here. Back then her name was Tola, but she changed it to Tova. She doesn't go into great detail of why she switched the L to a V, but that's okay. Oh, the things that this little girl has gone through. Let's go ahead and read the back of the book. My kids told me that this on the back of the book is called a blurb. I never knew that, but it's something that they teach the kids in school. Okay, it says, I am a survivor. That comes with a survivor's obligation to represent 1.5 million Jewish children murdered by the Nazis. They cannot speak, so I must speak on their behalf. Tova Friedman was one of the youngest people to emerge from Auschwitz. After surviving the liquidation of the Jewish ghetto in central Poland, where she lived as a toddler, Tova was 4 when she and her parents were sent to a Nazi labor camp. She was almost 6 when she and her mother were forced into a packed cattle truck and sent to Auschwitz II, also known as Birkenau extermination camp, while her father was transported to Dachau. I don't know what that says, Dachau. During 6 months of incarceration in Birkenau, Tova witnessed atrocities that she could never forget and experienced numerous escapes from death. She is one of a handful of Jews who have entered a gas chamber and lived to tell the tale. As Nazi killing squads roamed Birkenau before abandoning the camp in January 1945, Tova and her mother hid among corpses. After being liberated by the Russians, they made their way back to their hometown in Poland. Eventually, Tova's father tracked them down, and the family was reunited. In The Daughter of Auschwitz, Tova immortalizes what she saw to keep the story of the Holocaust, the Shoah, alive at a time when it's in danger of fading from memory. She has used these memories that have shaped her life to honor the victims. Written with award-winning former war reporter Malcolm Brabant, this is an extremely important book. Brabant's meticulous research has helped Tova recall her experiences in searing detail. Together, they have painstakingly recreated Tova's extraordinary story about the world's worst ever crime. Now, this book is very interesting, but as soon as I opened the book, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but as soon as I opened the book, she said something that just floored me. Okay, so she's saying she wrote this because it seems people are forgetting. Personally, I was horrified to learn about the levels of ignorance revealed in a survey of young Americans that was published in September 2020. This book was actually released, I believe, in 2022. But it says that 2/3 of people who were interviewed had no idea how many Jews died in the Holocaust. Almost half couldn't name a single concentration camp or ghetto. And 23% believed that the Holocaust was a myth or had been exaggerated. What? That is shocking to me. I love history and stuff, and I remember learning for a very little portion of history about the Holocaust. They didn't teach, greatly on it, but ever since then I had been doing my own research, and I read stories and articles and watch movies about it because it's just, I cannot believe something like this happened. And I think that stories like this, these memoirs, are very important because it brings it up. Like 23% of people didn't even know about it. What? And it said young Americans. Who are these young Americans? Are they teenagers? Because I can see that. Are they 20s, 30-year-olds? Yikes. But her story is fascinating. She was basically born like a few weeks before the war broke out, and she grew up basically in a ghetto. So she never had a real childhood, which is just so sad. She was just in constant fear her entire life. And the things that she has seen and witnessed and had to endure are just, there are no words, But every one of these stories that I've read or watched, they're all different. Everyone has their own story, and I think that the people who have the courage to actually talk about what they saw and what happened, that's just amazing. But what's really cool about this book is she actually puts some pictures. I'm not going to show you all the pictures because there's one in here that's not very nice. But it's interesting. I don't like looking at the pictures until the very end. But they usually put pictures in the middle. I love books that put pictures in the middle so you can actually see what they look like, But yeah, so this was her father in 1932. Look at how young he was. And that was her mother, 1946. I think that was her father's theater group or something. He enjoyed theater. And then this is a Jewish man getting his beard cut off by a group of German soldiers, and civilians look on as a Jewish man is forced to cut his beard. That is, like, apparently the worst thing to do, because your beard represents your holiness and closeness to God, I think. So, but it's just interesting. And this is her, I believe, after the liberation. Her hair got cut off, and she was so proud of her pigtails. And this picture made me happy because she got her pigtails back. And this is her, Tova, and other survivors displaying their tattoos to the Russian photographers following liberation from Birkenau, 1945. Like, just awful. They're just reduced to a number. But her dad wrote everything down in something called a Yizkor, or I think it's Yizkor, Yizkor, and it's like a Jewish book of remembrance, and a lot of things that she wrote in this book come directly from the Yizkor. So she writes it from her point of view, and then she has evidence to back it up, plus the historian. Everything is just pieced together nicely, and it just really shows you the history and everything like that. But her story, obviously, she's alive. She's actually alive today. I think she's like 87 years old or something. My goodness. But she talks about her life before Auschwitz, after, and even after they were liberated. Things were not nice. Things were not safe for them. She survived, and I'm telling you, she should have died 100 times. She had God on her shoulder or something, because she should have died at least 20 times, maybe more, and somehow she survived. And so did her mother and father and one of her aunts, but a lot of them died after, because when they went home, the Polish people were angry. They literally said to her mother once, "What are you doing here? You filthy Jew. You're supposed to be dead." Who talks like that? Like, what is so wrong with Jewish people? What's wrong with anybody? Like, this type of book just really makes you appreciate your life, because she was so young when this happened, and I know adults nowadays would not have been able to deal with the things that she had to endure. But this book is really, really good. I am so glad that my mom gave it to me. I actually saw another book. I think it's like the Tattooist, or the Tattoo, something like that, like the Tattooist of Auschwitz, or Auschwitz, something like that. I kind of want to read that book as well. But yeah, it's really good, and the stories that she tells are so unbelievable. Like, I was reading this when I was waiting to pick up my kids from school, and Ava was taking a nap right next to me, and I read something that made me gasp so loudly that I woke up Ava, and she was looking at me like worried, and I was just like, "I'm so sorry." But there's one specific thing in here that is just the most horrifying thing that I've ever read. But it's good that it's in the book, because people need to know, especially if people are forgetting. This is something that should never be forgotten, because this is something that should never happen again. But anyway, I highly recommend this book. It is very good, and it's a story that I will never forget this story. But anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that you read this story and let me know what you think about it as well. Anyway, thank you so much